All right, this is it. Now it's not perfectly straight. I don't really care at the moment. I'm just trying to get this in and see if it works. Second, third, neutral, reverse, park. Boom. Look at that. On today's episode of What the Freaking Redneck is that? All right, look at this thing. It is getting organized. This is kind of sad. Got a leak in my radiator. It's a really beat up radiator. Nonetheless, it didn't have holes before I started this project, and now it does. So that's unfortunate. Gotta get a new one. But just gotta replace it. Good to go. All the wiring is good. At least routed and all of that. I have to redo this joint here. That way it's taken care of properly. This was a temporary thing just to see if I could get the interior to work. Everything works in there. The locks, the wipers, the blinkers, the brake lights, headlights, all of it works fantastic in there. Batteries mounted, well, temporarily. That's where it's going to have to go because of the wires here. I'd rather not reroute all the wiring over to this side. At least not right now. Might later to keep that wiper fluid container on this side. The whole thing was I was going to start this and fill it up with fluid, but found that there's a hole because I was going to flush it and run water through it for a while just to get all of the Honda fluid out of everything. But lo and behold, it's got a hole. Other than that, brakes are hooked up, throttle's hooked up. I redid the mount for the heater core. So this is actually a pretty nifty little thing. This right here was mounted right back here. Obviously the distributor was in the way right there. So what I have going on is I just turned it a little bit, mounted it right there so it can still actuate. Just had to reroute some hoses, make them a little longer, but it worked. At least it actuates, so I'm assuming it works. Oh, this was actually pretty nice. This is where the snorkel goes. The front diff snorkel actually goes right here. It is this unit, like this. That's where it goes. That's stock. So what I did, I took that off and used the power that's from here, from the 78 wiring harness. It actually mounts right there on the firewall on the 78. So I actually just hollowed out those holes just one size, and it bolts right up there. Doesn't quite bolt there, and I jacked up the threads. So it's only gonna be one bolt, but I figured it's not that bad. It's pretty sturdy. It's just plastic, a couple wires hanging from it. So I'll have to figure this out, clip this alternator wire off. That way it's not just hanging here with power going to it and grounding out crap. So cut that off, redo this whole shenanigans there, bolt that up, and it should be golden. It is August 31st today. So, I mean, it's running by September. I didn't start working on this project till August 5th. So it's been less than a month. And I'm hoping I can get it driving around the property and whatnot by September 5th, under a month, or at least a month. I think that would be so freaking wild to do all of this in less than a month or a month. Man, that'd be freaking dope. All right, guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support, man. Check out Patreon. I'm trying to get more posts on there for those that are on it. Please support the channel that way. Also, I got some apparel on renegadeheadquarters.com. You can check that out. Hats, hoodies, backpacks, shoes, athletic wear. I mean, tons of stuff on there. So go check it out. And always like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, guys. I appreciate it. This project has been so much fun, so wild and crazy, and it's almost there. I'm so excited to drive this around and have all of you guys check it out, driving down the road, all those things. All right, guys, just a quick shout out to the sponsor of this build and this episode, Alaska Backcountry Adventure Tours. They are the best of 2021 sightseeing tours in Palmer, Alaska. They take you out to Knik Glacier on ATVs and side-by-sides. You get to go through all sorts of terrain, rivers, water, mud, rocks, dust, all of those things. It is a great tour. Definitely do the full day. You'll go all the way out to the glacier and be able to check that out. Be able to jump in if you really want to. Guys, check them out. Alaska Backcountry Adventure Tours. Thanks for your sponsorship. Let's go. All right. Well, I got a little bit of a discount on this because it was previously someone tried to install it or something. So I got a little bit of a discount, which I'm okay with, because realistically, if this doesn't work, it was only like a couple $100, $200, and I need something to at least get this moving around and doing all that. And I'm not gonna, I gotta do a lot of testing with this and driving before I'm willing to take this off-road, because it's gonna be slowly worked into this, because I don't want it to break too fast. So that being said, this is the new Radiator, and this is significantly thinner and smaller than that thing over there, which is great. I ended up painting the brackets that I made and everything, so hopefully I can get this taken care of today, start flushing the fluids and doing all that and getting the battery all situated and whatnot. So it is kind of sprinkling right now. Hopefully it stays clear, that way I can get this done. It's hopeful. Let's go. All right, I took out the transmission cooler nipples out of the other radiator, and these fit great, which is awesome. I was a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, just because of the size difference on this thing, but it works. Everything is golden, so we'll tighten those in, and then we'll get hoses and everything situated over there. Well, good and bad news. It fits very well, but a little too well. The other one butted up against the edges over here, and now this is quite a bit smaller. So now I need to figure out how to make brackets, or how to adapt those brackets to make this work. That's awesome. Well, new thing, new problems, right? Okay, clearly brackets aren't going to work. They go all the way up here, and I was thinking maybe put spacers under them, so it'd come like this, but I don't have bolts long enough to get into that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make it really simple. I'm going to move this up a couple inches. So I'm basically going to screw this in down here and put that hole right there and just raise it up. That way the radiator and everything's a little higher, and the mounts will just clamp right on top. Should be good to go. I drilled this one up, so that one's solid. Re-drilled the hole, dropped that. That is solid. This whole piece actually became a lot more solid right there, which is nice. Here, I had to repositioned this just a little bit, so it's a little bit more solid here. But I got rubber in here, and on this side I have to bevel out some holes so that it would sit on that arch, or that high piece on here. but that is pretty dang solid. So has a little bit of give at the bottom on these grommets, which I think is good, but everything should be solid. It is just slightly high on the cap, which is good. All that air flow out. So now it's time to hook up the hose and flush it. All right, we are about to try attempt number 1 at flushing the system and filling it up with coolant, with coolant. We're gonna run the water through it, make sure all of the other crap is out, and then we'll throw in the universal Honda and Chevy coolant stuff. All right, we got this all wired in, set. I will have to get another one, and I'll just tie it into this right here. But got it set up to where it's going to be pushing air through. So now we're just waiting for it to warm up. Not gonna lie, this thing actually sounds really good. Yeah, sounds pretty dang good. So waiting for this to get warm, and then we're gonna turn on the fan with this beast right here and see how well it cools it down. So we're gonna wait till it gets to about 190 or so and go from there. All right, it is just under 190. We're gonna turn this on. It is smelling kind of hot. I don't smell any fluid or anything, but it might just be all the work I've been doing on it that I'm smelling on the exhaust. But we're gonna go ahead and turn this on, see what happens. All right, as you saw, that was a successful test. That fan was actually working pretty good. It's only a single fan at this point. I definitely want to get another one, especially before I really off-road this thing. But it is September in Alaska, so it's going to be getting pretty chilly. I don't think, especially when driving this thing, I don't even think I'm going to need the fan that often. But it's going to be obviously very cold weather and air that's going through this, so I think it'll be all right for the moment. But definitely going to be getting another one put on there eventually. All right, I think the next step I need to do is twofold. I need to get this electrical wrapped up here. So this electrical, so basically this is the alternator wire from the Ridgeline, as well as the power to this box over here, this fuse box. So I need to get those two, I need to get this wire separated and then get another fitting on this so that it actually goes on to this power right here. And then all the electronics will work on the inside of the Ridgeline once that's hooked up. Then I'm going to get the power wrapped up and protected. That's to the ignition in there, and then I'm going to do the brakes. I figure the brakes are probably the next most important thing. Since it's running, it needs to be able to stop just in case something happens, right? So yeah, we're going to get that electrical done, get the brake fluids done, and then it's just the steering column and cosmetic stuff, I believe. So that's exciting. All right, guys, I'll show you when I'm done. We are going to be replacing the brake calipers because I tried doing the brakes yesterday, and let me show you. I was working on bleeding these brakes and virtually just stripped that, or rounded that out, took a lot of heat to it and everything, and just totally rounded out that side. Not cool, but you know what I decided to do? Just replace the caliper. This is why I love the old Chevys, because they're cheap as hell to work on. So I just replaced that whole thing instead of trying to fight that and do all that crap. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually just replace the caliper today, the two front ones. Hopefully the back will work. If they don't, then I'll get some new drums because those aren't that expensive as well. And if they're that bad, it probably needed to be replaced anyways. And so, you know what? I'm doing the project. I might as well. Probably take me just as much time to unbolt the tire, undo the brake line, undo the 2 bolts, and then put it all back together as it would to try to heat and cool and do all that other stuff with the whole caliper. So, or with the zert in there. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Looks like the weather's rolling in. I'm going to get on this real quick. Let's go. Okay, as you can see, it is dark out. I did the whole rear end, which I'll go over all this stuff next time I record, so that way you can actually see it, because right now it's obviously kind of dark. I am sitting inside the cab, totally stoked, working on this. I am working on the dash. So what I'm hoping to do, so I removed these. What I'm hoping to do, or what I'm going to try to do, I should say, is I removed the gauges, but I'm going to install this again that has all the heater controls and all of that, and headlights, and I'm going to plug that into here with no gauges. That way I can see. I'm going to hook up the battery, turn it on. I'm going to see if the headlights work, blinkers work, and all of that. Because if they work, I'm going to make my own gauge plate and put it on here, basically to replace the Honda gauges. That way I have stuff that like a place for my temp gauge, for instance. It'll just sit right where my gauges go, and I'll have a custom gauge cluster. That's the plan. I'm hoping it works. As long as blinkers, brakes, wipers, radio, headlights, as long as all that works, golden. So I also got the brakes done today. That was fantastic. I'm going to do a final bleeding with someone. That way it's a little bit, just to confirm that it's done, but it feels pretty dang stiff. So, yeah, should be solid though. All right, I'm going to get cracking on this thing. Good sign. Hooked up the battery. Interior light came on, and that came on as well. Headlights, fantastic. This is all good. This is all good things. Let's try blinkers here. Ooh, new blinker relay. What about brakes? Those are not good. That is not good. Might need those, I suppose. Bummer. Okay, we're back in business. It helps to turn on the key. So, that blinker works. Let's go around back. Oh, I like it. Not really sure why oh yeah, that's working perfect. Okay, now the test. Brake lights. Oh, no brake lights. That's no good. Why is that? Maybe they are unplugged. Nope, plugged in. Oh, maybe that's why. It's not back all the way. Need to screw that in further, that's why. Okay, so we'll adjust this all the way there. Now let's see if the brakes come on. Okay. Oh yeah. Yes. Yes, they work. Everything works without the gauges. Oh yeah, even the radio works. Fan works still, everything works. Okay, got my ignition switch mounted. Just pulled the back piece off here. So there's 2 screws there, a screw on each side there, screws right in the middle, and then 2 screws on top. I figured all that would be pretty solid to hold this. And then there is a screw that actually screws right into the metal right here. So that'll be a good fixed point. And then obviously it's clipped with plastics all the way around. So I figured that would be a decent place to mount it. Because then, made my key, stick it in there and boom. Figured that would be strong enough to hold it. But yeah, so that's what I just got done there. So we're gonna cut the bottom of this to feed the wires through in the back. That way it goes and is relatively tucked away. And just like that, got a nice little hole for the wires to go through. I never use that compartment anyway, so it should be put to good use now. We're gonna get these tires able to turn. All right, so what I have here, right, is just this running out to here, so I know the approximate length of the metal I will need. So this is gonna go basically like right here, so it's almost in a straight line. Goes right to about the shock, and then I'm wanting to put the steering column as close to this frame as possible. I drilled a pilot hole. I don't know if you can see it really well. I drew a pilot hole, and that comes in right in the wrong spot. So it comes in right here, which this is where the hole actually is. If I was able to fit it right here, it would be better. So I might take a hole saw and cut out this edge so this can fit in there. Just because I think this being here will pitch this too much at an angle and it might bind going to that Jeep column. So that's what I'm testing right now. I just have to cut off the grease end. Have to cut off the grease end of this so that, and this end. Just cut off the two ends and then be able to figure out distance. This obviously is going to be plenty long. Be about perfect. Okay, now let's go see if we can line this up at all here. See the angles. Because you know it's all about the angles. Okay, so what we have going on right here, if we can get this right there, then that won't be too much of an angle for either side of it. So we're gonna try to get it there, because the brake pedal won't hit on the ridgeline on the other side right here. That's why that pilot hole's drilled, but it won't hit right there. I will say, if I ever do this again, depending on where the brake booster goes, note to self, do the brakes after the steering, because that brake booster is right in the way. But how much effort it took to put in there, I'm not willing to take it off. So I'm hoping I don't actually have to take it off, because that would suck. I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work. Started raining a little bit, but can't stop this. Okay, check this out. So I totally hack jobbed this up. Obviously, I'll clean it up and such. You're gonna clean up where that bolt is right there, that stud, and clean up that whole area, kind of make a nice round, like a nice round cut right here. Just trying to get this out of the way, see if that would work. So that works there. It does not hit the pedal at full extension. I mean, when it'll be at full length, it'll be about right there, and it can get as close as it wants, right? So that should be all right there. And then coming around, this actually goes right there. And that angle is actually not bad. From there to there. It's almost a straight shot from that direction. The ridgeline side, or the firewall side, doesn't seem like it's too bad of an angle either, looking up at that. So I'm all right with that. I think that will work. So I just ground that, like cut that, because I need 10 inches of I need 10 inches of rod here to go on the steering column. Come on. But cutting that little bit fatter piece off, this piece with that double D shape there is the exact width this is right here. Boom. So what I'm gonna do is I have to notch out that little bit right there, so that way the bolt can slide in and out. So I'm gonna notch out probably a section from about here to about here, just so it's nice and flat the whole way, so it has a little bit of adjustment and play in there for when I go to install it. Yeah! And then I just grab this one. This almost fits in the Honda side. I could grind off because it's just barely, I don't know if you can see how well you can see that, but it just barely doesn't fit. So I'm going to grind off a little bit of these corners. That way it can actually slide in there. So probably about to there. And then once that's able to fit, then I'll do the same thing, kind of notch out the center right here for the bolt to go over to be able to lock that into place. That actually just might work. And then what I'll do is I'll take those bearings that I just got, which I'll show you in a second. I just went to Napa, got some bearings. One fits right over this, and one fits right over this. And basically we'll just mount that to the frame. So there's gonna be a solid rod in between the Honda steering column U-joint and, whoa, and the Jeep steering unit. Okay, just finished grinding it. About like so. Slide that right in. Look at that. Boom. There is a little bit of adjustment there. And then, obviously, be able to tighten that down, squeeze that tight, and it'll be nice and solid on there. So, now time to do the other side for the Honda side of things, but I believe that should work. All right, got that done. So that is, a little bit of space there and able to move, but even with it really loose, it's not able to adjust or twist on there, which is great because it's not splined. But that flat area should keep it there. Just narrowed it down a little bit so it would fit in. Nice solid chunk of metal, so I think it'd be all right, strength-wise. And then, boom. That in there, it got some adjustment in there. So, both sides ready to go. So we're gonna go see if we can fit this on there so we can figure out how to make some brackets. Let's do it. All right, check this out. Okay, connected, boom. It's gonna go right here and then right up there. And I think it'll work. I just need to figure out a way to get this solid mount so there's no like looping like this when it's trying to turn. So what I think I'm gonna do here, got this bearing here. Fits right on that. It also fits on this one, but being where it's located and this being the joint to stabilize, I think I'm gonna put that right there. Make a bracket that can actually bolt right into here with maybe my subframe bolts, the shorter ones. Put those right in these holes, bolt them up with the bracket that's welded to this. And then that'll be solid and fixed right there, which will then give that a pretty good straight shot. And then this, I'll make a bracket maybe based on these holes. Might have to widen those a little bit. weld this to the frame, or to the bracket, bolt the bracket right here, and then that won't go anywhere because it's butted up against this thicker piece here. That'll give that a nice solid place to be, and that should allow that joint to be solid, I think. I hope. But that's where I'm at right now. I think that'll work. All right, so my second time ever really welding, first time like legitimately by myself. But here we go. So tack that on, and this will go right on here. And I should have brought my stand over here. But essentially, it'll sit like this and be able to rotate. So that one is done. All right, I'm proud of myself. I'm not gonna lie. Look at this. Okay, so brackets are basically made. Just gotta cut this one right here, then take it over there and figure it out. I might put a couple more, just a few small tacks in there, maybe 2 more there, and then maybe do a couple on that one so they're a little better, but everything is solid. I think it's gonna work. Oh, got the first set in. It's only tacked in there. Had to redo this bracket with thinner metal. The other stuff was way too heavy duty. This is still, I think 2 is a little bit overkill, but whatever. Got some bolts. Now I just got to make this side to here, and I think it will be solid once I make this one. Yeah, dude, this is gonna be so crazy if this works. All right, there it is. Okay, it is time to test the steering here. I'm gonna see if it works. Fire it up. Success! Yes! Dude, let's get this done because I want to drive this with front wheel drive because it's a Ridgeline. We got to leave it front wheel drive. No, just kidding. Waiting for my drive shaft still. Should be the beginning of this next week. Should be tomorrow or Tuesday. Today is Sunday, September 4th, and I started this project August 5th, right after my kids left. So 30 days. Let's go weld this up, make it pretty, paint it, bolt it all back together, and maybe drive it over to the old Chevy stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm so stoked. So before I take it all apart, so I got this Jeep piece held up right here, and then I have the old Chevy shaft right there held up with that bearing, And that's tied in to the Honda shaft over there. Oh my gosh. Freaking works. I just can't believe it. I did that. Okay. It's welded up. It's got its little brace on there, so it should be a lot more sturdy. Everything, all the bends are welded up. It's not very pretty by any means or stretch of the imagination, but first time like welding by myself and getting it all done, I feel pretty proud of myself. So now it's just time for paint and mounting. Okay, it is bolted up nice and taut. Actually looks pretty solid. Haven't cleaned up any of the stuff right around the edge over here. Haven't cleaned any of that up yet. But it is time to see if this thing will move, steer, and stop. Oh my gosh, I'm so stoked. Let's do this. Man, that's some rednecky shit right there. Woo! Oh man. Got some straps holding this in here nice and firm. That way, at least just driving down the road, it's solid. Let's hope that this is the right size. Because if it's not, it's gonna suck. But it was only like half the cost I thought it was gonna be. So that's great. Here we go.